name is Abi Lopez. I'm with my husband, Rick Lopez, with Rute and Nate Tanner. Believe it or not, I was planning to do that session for quite a time, like 3 or 4 years. And why? Why did I want to do it in this format? Thank you so much. I will explain why he's saying this, what he's saying. Why? It's because we are multiracial marriages, couples. This is session for you guys. If you are already in marriage that's multiracial and you struggle maybe with cultural differences or maybe language difference, there is so much barriers, and you may think that it's impossible to pass these challenges. Here we are to tell you, we are testimony that this is possible. We are married already for 18 years, almost 18 years, in case you don't know. And you are?
20 in July.
20 in July, very good. So maybe we would start with you guys, tenors, if I may say. I would like to ask you, what was the main challenge for you when you met and you knew that you are from different countries, you speak different languages? How did you agree in your heart? Yes, I want to take this life challenge for such a long term.
I think we just jumped in both feet and didn't really think till after we were in there. So we were so just head over heels in love and wanted to spend the rest of our lives together, that we just jumped in and kind of figured things out as we went along.
Wow. So how about you?
I think I was in love young, and I understood there was a big difference on cultures. I spoke no English at the time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So, and he spoke Portuguese, or learned to get my
Portuguese.
heart. So
wow.
we were committed.
We were
committed. That was all.
Well, it definitely wasn't easy because you're dealing with two cultures, two completely different backgrounds. It's hard enough when just two people from the same nation, just upbringing can be so different, but let alone
what country were you in?
Well, I'm from here. She's from Brazil.
No, I mean, where did you in Brazil?
Meet? Yeah, we met in Brazil.
Wow.
Got married in Brazil, started our life together in Brazil.
Wow.
And then we needed to get out of there because of his visa.
Oh,
so that was.
So what you're saying is you could have been the first 90-day fiance couple.
I thought she was just after a green card at first, but then I found out.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
He is hilarious.
I'm gonna get kicked under the table.
Kind of joke right now.
As opposed to what?
Quit trying to play serious.
I am a serious person.
No, he's trying to tell you guys he's very happy. So Rick, question to you.
Oh no, you were the first girl that actually prayed for me when I left you at the door. So that I knew there's something special about you, and I just wanted to see what that was. That's really what it was.
So that was not my language or the fact that I was.
And you were an attractive young lady. 12 years older than you.
Yes, you're beating up points. But okay, so what would you tell couples who are perhaps already in marriage with somebody from different culture, just like us, but they are facing challenges and they really cannot conquer certain points?
They were married longer than us.
2 years only. So. Okay.
And she knows more than me, so I'll let her answer.
You're smart. No, I think communication is the key, because you're not just understanding is a culture that is behind whoever is saying. That you need to try to understand the culture of each other so you can really understand what the other person is saying. And I think that was what we really try, was always to communicate, always to go walk things through to make sure we were in the same page.
Yeah, I think if you're dating or engaged to someone of a different culture, you got to understand that you're not only marrying that person, but you're marrying into their culture. And even if it's not yours or you don't fully understand it, you need to grasp it and understand this is where they're coming from. But and then at the same time, be willing to work things out, communicate, admit when you're wrong, or even when you think you're right, understand that they might be seeing something completely different. But with Jesus as central and with a commitment to each other, it can be done.
Wow.
you know, it's not that different than a regular marriage where two Americans marrying each other. It's the same problems, communication problems. You know, you could add the cultural difference, but you still have to take time. For me, the biggest difference was having patience to understand what she was trying to tell me. So as Nate said, the communication part and then the patience part, because I knew she wanted to say something, but she didn't say it in the right way. And sometimes it seemed like it was in a rude way. And so but as I got to know my wife, I know she didn't meant that. And I had to repeat a lot of things she said, and then I had to correct a lot of things she said because she was starting to get frustrated that I didn't understand her. And I was getting frustrated because of the way she was saying it to me. And then sometimes I thought she knew this word already and she didn't know the word.
Thank you. This is very true. And I want to tell you that when we live, I believe that the spouse who we live in his country, let's say, let me give an example. Rick is American, he speaks English. I am Polish, I am from Poland. So I migrated to his country, into his language. I'm married into his family. So there is big difference between me adjusting to his culture and this kind of lifestyle. And he has his perspective that is also very different. As he said, he had to be patient with me, trying to explain 1,000 times something that he just couldn't grasp it. And I had to understand he is not being mean or impatient, but he just doesn't understand me. So you see, there are two different challenges. How did that look from your side?
Oh, well, I think especially more early on where we're learning each other's languages, because we had a major language barrier when we first got married as well. And so communicating two languages that neither one, I didn't know Portuguese fully, she didn't know English fully. There's so much more opportunity for misunderstanding that you have to be ultra patient and gracious with each other to work through it.
And not saving things for the next day. And basically I would look to myself and try to figure out what was my part and what was that I wasn't communicating and or didn't communicate, and that's why we're there. And so looking first at me, and then he'll do the same, and then we'll come together and we actually do apologize to each other.
That's so
But if you don't do that, you're gonna have a problem because it's two different cultures. And
so it takes humility to overcome those differences, regardless what country you live, what language you speak, what culture you are in. It's about communication and humility. So those are two foundational words that we hear today from you guys.
Not saving for the next day.
Oh,
I think that's one of the biggest problems is
willingness to change too. I think is so important that you're willing to actually change the way you think things, see things, or believe is right for the sake of the other person in your relationship.
Also, here's go on, another question.
I know one thing. It's even though I grew up American, having a Mexican mom. My mom was born here too, but my mom was raised by her mother who was from Mexico. So my expectations on my wife were they were both Western and the old Mexican way of my mom cooked. That was her love language to all of us. And her mom cooked. I could go to my mom's house to this day at 12:30 at night and she's going to open up the kitchen. So I brought that into my marriage, expecting that from my wife, that no matter what, and doing everything on top of her work and still making the dinners regardless of the time and exactly what I wanted to eat, how I wanted it to be cooked. And so I know I brought that. And I think some men have that expectation on their wife, no matter what country you're from. And I'm not saying it's any more so being Mexican, but she's going to cook what I like to eat. And I can eat Mexican food every single day.
So true. So I'm so glad that you spoke about that, because many people can struggle with this. Here is the question: how could you help couples that listen to us who are interracial, who struggle with cultures he says, but we are used to doing this way, but we are used to doing that way. And they both don't want to compromise.
If you don't compromise somewhere, you're in for a long, hard marriage.
Yeah.
It probably won't work if you're unwilling to
Mhm.
surrender to each other a little bit.
The days will be long and the years will be longer.
So
Yeah.
now another thing that Pucci was
Oh.
speaking of, that language barrier that it creates for me, for instance, because I migrated, I had to learn my husband language. He
Mhm.
literally taught me, I was speaking un poquito, means like a little tiny English, just enough to smile and understand him. So it not only created pressure for me to explain him what I meant, but stress, a great amount of stress that came with this, that created those fights at home. I didn't mean it, but the way I spoke to him, why don't you understand me? It creates so much fight.
Sure.
What could you tell couples about that? I know it's a tough
It
question.
is. I just remember, well, I can talk about myself, that
Right.
at the beginning, I could barely speak English and I didn't know if he was understanding what I was saying.
Same thing, mine.
So normally I would try to put myself on his shoes and explain
Mm,
how in my culture, how I was feeling what he was saying
mhm,
and what that meant for me.
mhm,
This is what you were saying when you're
Mhm.
saying this. And normally that would really help to clarify that wasn't at all
Yeah.
what he was saying. And
So you want to say?
What was the biggest cultural difference you noticed about Nate as opposed to men from Brazil? Easier, harder,
I think,
dating an American versus somebody from your own country?
yeah. Sorry. honey.
Wow.
Go ahead, Ben. I want to hear
Um,
this one. Make it good, please.
I think Americans are very direct,
Mhm.
where Brazilians were very into the culture of like trying to please people sometimes too
Mhm.
much.
They'll beat around the bush before they
Yeah.
actually get to the point.
Oh.
I would say,
And-
just tell me what you want from me, woman.
And even you're
Bottom
not
line.
gonna ask somebody, like, can I have your phone? Can I borrow your phone, please?
Mhm.
You're gonna say,
Yeah.
oh, you have a nice phone.
Mhm.
Oh, can I look? You're gonna go around instead of, oh, I need a phone. Can I use your phone? Can I
Mhm.
use for a phone call?
Yes.
So that was, I think, the most difficult was he was so direct that
Mhm.
I was like, for my culture, he was being unpolite. What
Yes.
was just his culture.
Yes.
And
yes.
for me, I would be around things because I was trying to
Mhm.
honor and be polite.
Mhm.
But for him, he was like, just please say what you want to say.
And I had
So-
100 of examples, same way. Like we would go somewhere to, let's say, American church. We would talk to other people, and he says, when we would leave church, you know what you told that couple? It was so rude. I'm like, what? What was rude? But just he would be a little frustrated. He's got great amount of patience, but he would be frustrated. Sometimes he would not even want to tell me. How could you not know this? So I finally, when I dig the hole, come on, tell me. He said, when you said this and this, it was very rude. I said, I could never. I remember with some person from military. I would never even suspect, because in my country it's normal. For instance, in Poland, you can ask about money. How much do you make money? I know you might, guys, this might be rude in America, but we are open. See, so there are so many difference in dialogues that you can or should not ask. So
And I remember you generalized, you
Uh-huh.
generalize a lot of stereotypes too. So that was rude when you
Yes.
did stuff like that, I thought. But,
yeah, those are traps. You just
Yeah, but you had to be understanding and you
Yeah.
had to be willing to change, right?
and I admit,
Yes.
I admit sometimes I was understanding,
wanna
but not
change so much.
patient. So that was a little tough.
Yeah.
And I will say this too, I don't know about the Brazilian culture, but for Hispanic culture, even here in America, expectations on a wife, no matter what race you are,
Yeah.
are you're supposed to wait on me hand and foot. You're supposed to cook. You're supposed to do all these things, job or no job, 2 kids, 10 kids, my brother here, you're supposed to serve your husband first and then all the men. And
Sure.
so that
Well,
was an
she
expectation.
actually sat down with me before we even got engaged and said, what do you believe about women? What do you believe the role of women? What do you believe about women in ministry,
Wow.
mutual submission,
Yeah,
etc.
Wow.
And so she got that out there.
yeah,
Because I had, that is true.
yeah.
Ask
Partially
questions,
on
guys.
my culture,
Mhm.
that as a woman, you need to know how to clean your home, you need to know how to cook, you need all this stuff.
Mhm.
But my parents, I guess my mom had a lot of questions for my dad, and before they got married, they got into commitment that she wasn't gonna drop everything, because both were pastors in missions, that she was never gonna drop everything she was doing in church to come and serve him.
Mm.
That whoever was home gonna take care of the kids and cook and everything else. So I remember hearing a lot from my dad and his perspective.
Mhm.
And so
Wow.
the guys that I met before, they were friends and had
Oh.
intentions.
Yeah.
I would make a lot of questions, and some of them I'd say,
Mhm.
"Oh,
Mm.
I'll see you one day,"
Wow.
but I would
Yes.
walk away. So when I knew it was serious, I had a
Mhm.
lot of questions because I had a different mindset.
Yeah.
Yes.
So ask
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, so we talked a lot,
Mhm.
and it was the time there was email from
Mhm.
Brazil,
Yeah.
and it would be like every Saturday. And then I needed to figure out a translation
Oh, yeah.
and to make sure it was the right translation. So it was a lot of
Complicated.
talking before we actually got married.
How long did you live in Brazil once you were married?
Under a
6
year,
months.
because I ended up having some visa problems, and so we came back to the States.
You know what? I do, there is a difference when, if I were to marry Abby in Poland, how even maybe my expectations might have changed a little bit.
Mhm.
Is because over there, she's got a strong support. Over here, she didn't have strong support.
Very good.
And I think that's very vital.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's compared to the woman that marries somebody in a service and she goes somewhere, she's got no support. And the divorce rate's very, very high.
Very.
And so when she came over here, it just dawned on me, because you're over there, you have your support with, and then you're building that, in case you
Yeah.
guys, if you had problems. So you have a strong support, but when you came over here, who was your support outside of Nate?
What was interesting is when I was living in Brazil, it was not my country.
Yeah.
And I was still limited with the language barrier, that I had to be so much more dependent on her to go to the DMV or the bank or whatever it
Yeah.
was. So I ended up becoming much more dependent on her. And then when we moved here, she had to be much more dependent on
Yeah.
on me. And so I think that actually was probably a positive thing, because
And-
we both had.
We didn't have really a support system. We worked with a bunch of young people that were dancers and break dancers, and they're all living their own lives. And so I didn't want to expose anything of our marriage that we're not understanding to a bunch of people,
Uh-huh.
because I saw that happening in ministry, and people just
Mhm.
taking parts on, picking
Taking
the
sides.
sides that they
Mhm.
want.
Wow.
So we would, we're gonna pray and we're gonna talk, and sometimes we're 4 a.m.
Mhm.
and we'll be talking and through and praying till we
Yeah.
would get to a resolution.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of support system, so we didn't end up airing our dirty laundry in a sense to
Oh.
everyone around the
Yeah.
community. We just kind of would work things out
Mhm.
on our own in those early years.
And the most important question out of the whole night, what do you mean by breakdancing? I used to break dance.
Oh, you used to break
Yes, I
them.
did.
That's awesome.
That's
Well,
so
we
funny.
he used to be a skateboarder.
Oh,
when I
okay,
met him.
yeah.
Our ministry
So-
was skateboarding and breakdancing. I wasn't a
Wow,
breakdancer,
that's
but we would
crazy.
reach young
Mhm.
people
Yeah.
with the gospel. with
Well,
that.
you would love my house. Yeah, I live right next to a skate park.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's how I
Great
started.
ministry.
Wow, I
Great
didn't know that,
ministry.
yeah.
In closing, of course, it's up to each individual heart and each individual couple. How many years do you think it would take a regular couple to adjust to that difference?
I don't think it will be the same for any couple because some of it is, it's so based on different factors. But I do know, based on coming up next month will be 20 years that we've been married, that it is possible to have a phenomenal marriage relationship. And with us, I know that it's gotten better and better. I would say probably over these last 5 years, we've just got more passionately in love, not more necessarily committed, but just our relationship seems to have become deeper and deeper.
Regardless of challenges, the language challenges, or still miscommunicating, because you will miscommunicate constantly. With Rick, I'm learning from him literally every day some new word. Oh, you say that way. I've never realized what I'm saying this.
Well,
There's so many things that we could probably write books on differences, isn't it?
yes, less slang
Okay.
and 4 years to get adjusted.
Yes. Wow.
But I think if you're committed to each other, talk things through.
Yeah.
And I think for us, we really honor each other. I think that was one of the first things that we committed to each other, that we didn't matter whatever it was, that we still would honor each other. And I think that saved us many years. And then on purpose, trying to spend time with each other and
You will hear that a
just
lot.
enjoying, and I love to walk and see flowers. So he walks with me and now we enjoy flowers.
Love the flowers.
Yeah. But I love
Loving
sunsets. And so he comes. I didn't like the early mornings. Well, now I wake up early and I enjoy the early mornings.
Flowers.
So, and coffee and Bible. So,
So
You know, and the biblical truth is when you see your wife as the most precious jewel on your arm, when you see her like that, then you spending the time together, I think it's big after all these years with the kids and her working and me working. It's just, it's very, you're going to hear this in marriage counseling, secular and biblical, no matter what you go through, you have to make time for your wife. You just have to.
Yes, thank you so much. And I want to add one thing. I know that there are couples that might feel like, I'm certain it was watching this session thinking, maybe they're gonna touch my problem, our problem. Maybe they're gonna change, and maybe we didn't because we were sharing our life. Maybe you are one of those who have family overseas or in other country, just like I do. And I understand your heartache whenever there is Christmas, whenever there's birthday and you don't see your parents, you see only one side of the family. There is a heartache that you cannot overcome. But I'm telling you, it's still worth to stay in this marriage and fight for it and be there. Just stay loyal because it will pay back. Stay loyal, number one, to God. Be really committed to what Jesus has for you. And then to your spouse. And if he doesn't understand or she doesn't understand your point, with love, you can overcome this. Watch your tone, watch how you talk to her, watch how you talk to him. Everything depends again to how I talk to my husband, because I might talk most difficult things, matters of our lives. Even I can cry, I don't see my mom, I don't see my mom. But if I say it the right way, remember, your tone can change everything. The Bible says in Proverbs, I forgot where, or anger. I'm sorry.
You get more bees with honey than vinegar.
there we go.
That's a redneck book of Proverbs. I think.
Oh, there you go. I knew I read it somewhere.
So be patient and pray like there is no tomorrow.
See, go vertical instead of horizontal.
Any closing words you guys have?
You can do it.
All things are possible and you can still turn around. Just you need to try. It's totally worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. Thank you so much.
Keep coming back.
Keep coming back. What?
That's a AA thing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.